different interfaces, or even in band instruments that have things like make music, where they have assessment tools that are coaching them throughout the week. So, quite honestly, I think that's where the industry's going. There's more connectivity and more interactivity between players at greater distances.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the acoustic piano has a legacy because you've got an emotional connection to it. Because it's usually handed down. Hey, I'm playing on grandma's piano. You don't necessarily get that with the digital piano today. You're not going to be saying, hey, I'm playing on grandma's digital piano. It doesn't have that emotional connection. But what it does have is more accessibility, it's less affordable, or it's more affordable. And there's somewhere in the middle. You got to find out what's best for both. So I think we have to embrace that both of these things are going to be there. It was like if you go back to the early 1900s, when the player pianos came aboard, everybody thought at that time, if you go back and, we can't go back and talk to people, I could, but if you go back into what people were saying back then, everybody was afraid that the player piano was going to kill the piano business, because now it's going to take business away from piano players, it's artificial music. And today we're kind of facing AI music. And, we're just on the cusp of AI taking off. And what is it going to do to the piano industry 5 years from now, 10 years from now? We don't know yet. We can guess, but we don't know yet. But it's going to be interesting to do.
Why couldn't you do both?
Yeah.
So, the digital world or nostalgic world, I like to call it. Let's look at the record player and vinyl. Coming right back around the corner because it carries a certain sound, right? That's the nostalgic version. You know what I'm talking about. So when you're out there and you're playing these instruments, listen, I don't play, but I can hear. So I can tell the difference between a digital and a non-digital. And some people just want that nostalgic sound. It's about what your goals are, but if you're selling, why not go for both? Just minimize your itemized listings for drop shipping versus carrying everything on hand where you're just sitting on your money. It's silly, but this way you have a variety and diversity for your customer base. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And there was a time when I know in our business, and I'm sure many of you felt the same way or did the same thing. We always had one to show, one to go. Now we have one to show, and then it goes, and then we reload after that, right? Yeah, and it's part of the evolution of piano dealers and how we are working and adapting to it, because you just don't keep as much of a backstock. Now that's us. Now there are other dealers. How many dealers out there still keep a lot of one to show, one to go? There we go. You're a braver piano dealer than the rest of us are. But that's great. Okay, so let's start thinking about where we're heading now into the future a little bit. How we retailers, I think we have to become more of a community-based business, and many of you have from the very beginning. But I think it's more important than ever, because every consumer now, you don't have to give them a lot of information when they come in. They already know it when they come in because they've already looked it up. Now they're going to ask AI, tell me what such and such brand piano, the features of it. They're going to know when they come in. So it's going to be, you have to make that connection with that customer, and you have to feel what that customer is. Read them, let them talk, and that's what we've always done in the past. Let the customer tell you what they want. Don't talk over the customer. So when they come in, they know what they want, but you just need to listen to them and give them a story. Tell stories and be community-based business. What do you think, Antonio? From a distributor's standpoint, you're looking and you talk to dealers all the time. How do you advise them on that?
Yeah, even though we are a manufacturer of digital pianos, we have the utmost respect for the legacy of acoustic pianos. That represents the height of our artistry, the height of woodwork, and the height of craft. And so when we make digital pianos, it is we try to create the ultimate homage to the acoustic piano, never to compete, never to pull away. That is still the goal. When you love piano, you want a piano, an acoustic piano. The digital piano, I think, brings a lot of wonderful innovations in that whether it's in the classroom, you can expose the students to music appreciation, expose them to sounds and the ability to control sounds that they never would have had an experience to. That can help with that. It can also help in education. As I look ahead to AI, I can foresee not only in the sales atmosphere, because it can help inform or at least introduce a customer or coach a customer. I can also see in an educational space how pianos of the future, both acoustic and digital, especially depending on what equipment they come with. But those will also be able to have educational properties to them. One of my passions is foreign language, and particularly Italian, because of my work. But I see the innovations already impacting the world of foreign language, where you get to interact personally with a tutor. And I can see that in the future of piano education. Never to replace a teacher. A teacher is the ultimate teacher. But oftentimes digital can at least help with tutoring and keeping people engaged until their next point moving forward with their teacher. So I don't look ahead at the world of AI and see doom or see despair. I actually see a way for it to help, both in terms of sales, in terms of distribution, in terms of education, both about pianos and educating how to play the piano itself, and making better piano players. And I ultimately think that that'll be good for our industry. The only other thing I'd say, to being a piano guy my whole life in the piano industry, I've oftentimes looked at the guitar industry with a little bit of jealousy, because the guitar industry, when you look at them, they honestly don't have that level of, they don't have an identity crisis over electric guitars and acoustic guitars. You look at a guitar player, he's got electric and acoustic on his wall, and they just love to play the guitar. And they bring on the electric or the acoustic depending on what properties they need. We in the piano world and piano teachers, and I know they go into your stores, we seem to have like, I don't want a digital piano, I want a real piano. So sometimes I'll walk up to a digital piano and I'll knock on it because it feels real to me. I don't know, but that's sometimes the stigma that we have had to overcome in the digital world and the electronic world. That's not real. That's artificial. And so as I look ahead at things like artificial intelligence, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stigma on that for a long time. Was this email written by AI? Was any of this done by AI? And they'll think less of you if it was. But I think there'll come a point where that stigma will fall away, and then the AI will be just naturally assimilated into our everyday activities as a tool, as it should be, not a replacement. It's not a replacement human being. It's just a tool to help the human beings that you already trust. So I think it behooves us as an industry that as more AI and interactivity and things move into our industry, we have to, the trust still stays with us. We are the arbiters of trust, I think, between person and person. So as long as we put it in its perspective, that it's a tool to help, not a being to replace us, I think then we will hold the trust of the customer. Ultimately, that's what we need to survive in this world.
I agree. That's well said. Very, very good points. And I hope you don't think less of me, but a lot of my notes here were AI. Let's be prepared for this. But I do agree. I think that the point, if I take anything away from this, what you said about electric guitars versus acoustic guitars, there's no stigma attached to that. But you're right, acoustic piano versus digital piano, there is. So I want every one of you here, every time you talk to a customer and it comes up, I want you to say guitars, acoustic, guitars, electric. You don't think about that. So do the same thing with pianos, acoustic pianos, digital pianos. How many of you piano doers out there carry both acoustic and electric? Okay. How many of you carry acoustic only? Is there a reason why you don't want digital pianos in your store? Loaded question?
You want to know?
I do want to know.
Yeah. I'm a purist.
Come on.
Piano technician. We only sell used pianos, mostly
Okay.
Hawaiian Yamaha. I'm a piano technician of 44 years, and I'm a purist, I'm a pianist, I'm a composer. And really, we don't have a big store like Ellen's got a huge, beautiful store. She's got room for all that fun stuff. We've got 2,000 square feet, and we have to make the best use of all that.
Okay.
And especially since we've got stores like Ellen's, she's only 35 minutes from us. So if someone wants a digital, I say call Ellen.
Gotcha.
And then when someone wants a acoustic, she says, "Oh, I've got one for you." But if I don't, she sends them down to Eric.
Was it more of a
You've got a
space
good
thing?
We do. We healthy competition. Yeah.
Was it more of a space thing of your inventory line, basically?
Say it again.
Was it more of a space like issue of your
Yeah, I
inventory line?
mean, we've got anywhere from
I could-
55 to 40 pianos in there.
I can relate because we had 5 buildings, 4,000 pianos.
Ouch. Yeah.
I took home 100 of them,
Yeah.
so I can relate. But I do digital and acoustic, and I kind of still do.
Good Lord, I've got 150 pianos in our warehouse, and I thought that was
Hello,
wow.
can I?
Okay, what's your name there, Eric?
Yes.
I got something. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
I love those
Excuse me,
announcements.
host.
You have a question?
Yes. So my challenge is most of my customers, they're concerned about the resale value of the piano because most of them are beginners. So when they ask me about which piano model to recommend it, and they usually prefer acoustic because they heard that, you know, even your kids give it up until 5 years, and then you can still sell it at a good money. So that's a major concern. So there's a lot of rumors that digital is gonna have limited lifespan, and probably we are talking about you're not going to play a grandma's piano, right? Digital ones, right? So yeah, how to address this issue for resale value concerns. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. What do you guys think? Anyone have an answer?
Well, with the digital, it depends more on NAMM brands. These days, you cannot just say, you know, okay, the digital's called Dog and it still sounds good, you know? But they'll look at it like, I never heard of that company. I never seen that. When they play it, they might say, this actually does sound good. Maybe I might buy it or not. But with acoustics, it could be with brand names, but mostly it's the style, it's the condition, it's the way how it presents itself. You could take 10 of the same pianos and they all are different. When I had like 5 of the same, not gonna say a name brand, but you know, 5 of the same name brands. And I'm like, they all look the same, they all look like twins or clones of each other and everything, but each and every one has a different personality. Depending on the personality of the piano, it depends on the personality of the person. So, what I always say is that when you're buying a piano, it's a lifetime commitment. It becomes a member of the family of your house. It becomes a centerpiece of your house. When you go into a room, if it's an upright piano or a spinet, people look straight at the piano. They don't look at the table, they don't look at your china, they look right at, oh, you have a piano, that's right, do you play? No, I don't play, my children used to play or whatever, or it's just there for decoration, you know? But they still look at the piano and everything. As in selling it, and this is what I get all the time, is that it has to, I mean, especially in Miami and Florida, it has to be immaculate, you know? If it's not, they'll talk you down the price, then you have to work that about it. If it sounds really, really, really good and doesn't care about the name brand, they will buy it. They will buy it. For now, as in digital pianos, because I work with a digital piano company too, basically it has to present itself. When you sit down, the speakers have to be, you know, the right frequency that it sounds like a piano. Sometimes with some digital pianos, I can get almost like a feel of an acoustic piano, depending on how it's sampled. When I play the piano, like the bass, so to say, the cabinet vibrates a little bit. That's what I like to hear and like to feel about a digital piano. Sometimes you play a digital piano and it's dead, you know? You're like, what happened to the bass? What happened to, you know, the character of it? And that's basically it.
Let's look at now, let's jump to the future. So, how are we going to market pianos now in the future? I'm going to start with our good friend Drew here because he's not in the piano industry, but he knows a lot about marketing. Our store, just truth be told, we have partnered with Drew, and In our store, we have turned part of our warehouse into podcast studios. We've been doing this now for a few years, but it has increased the foot traffic in our store. It has increased much of our sales, and it has helped with everything because it's given us some credibility and it's given us a way to get our word out there. And it's something that everybody is capable of doing. But Drew, tell us a little bit about how you would talk about that.
So listen, I see pianos as a product. Okay, I don't play it. I have emotion to it when I listen to it, but it's still product, and we're still talking about business. For this gentleman right here, it was space. We're sticking to the nostalgia. That's what we want to be known as. It's classic in space. How do you market that? Well, listen, the days of cold calling, which is a horrible job to do, is come to an end. As a podcast studio owner, I can tell you we build podcasts. Now you get to talk about the passion, the sound, invite great guests on, and you're sitting around the piano you want to sell. www, World Wide Web. If you click that link below, it's going to take you right to me. Now, if you got 20,000 people following you, 5,000 reach out to you, that's a pretty good day. What you said? It's about outside the box market. If you're in the SFB market, small medium business market, and you're sitting on a lot of hardware, okay, especially for you, I love that you're an example, so I hope you don't mind that I pick on you a little bit. You should be looking at big contracts. You're not necessarily should be if you need, you're looking to build the money, you're looking to build the space. So your pianos, as they're collecting dust, should be leased out to a BC company, right? And their piano bar. We're going to be wrapping pianos. Put a Hilton logo on that thing and lease it out to a Hilton. 3 years later, when it leases up, pull it off, put a different logo on it, send it somewhere else. Let your product make money for you. Okay? Your product, it already knows how to sell itself. It's the same product. You guys are all talking about the same pianos. People want to know the person they're buying it from. It's called relationship building. Just like back in the day, I got a guy, right? Listen, I'm shy Italian. I got a guy all day. You need a plumber? I got it. Oh, pianos? We're gonna talk to my guy. You build that repertoire, you get in social media, they start knowing who you are and what your character development is. Therefore, you're selling yourself, but do it honestly and do it authentically. Authentic sells. Nobody wants smoke and mirrors. Nobody wants to know that at the end of a deal they got screwed over. If you do good business, you get great results, right? If you are trying to, you never want to lower your standards to match the world. You only want to raise them to shape it, I guess is the best way to put it. So when it comes to marketplace, outside the box, targeting is going to be your key. Social media is a good way to do that. We did a show with Tim for Around the Piano. A gentleman by the name of Craig Coulson came in. He wanted to play a guitar. He was doing for our holiday mashup. And that guitar had a tag hanging off of it for piano trends. And he did a 20-second thing about talking about that guitar and how nice it was. He got to play it, and he showed the price on it. People start calling Tim. It's not brain surgery. It's just outside the box. You guys are all swimming in the same pool. Sometimes you need to get out of the pool. Look for the jacuzzi. Right? Stand out a little bit. Never hurts.
I agree, and it works for us. I can tell you from a first-person standpoint. Now, how many people are already using AI in some form in your business? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're starting to do that. Hey, how many of you are afraid to use AI? There's one. What? At least you were the brave one who admitted it.
So is one.
AI is something, and you're admitting it. Okay, there you go. What's that now? Cautious. Oh, cautious. Yeah, you do, especially because it's something new and it's out there. But there are so many different ways you can market now with AI that will make it faster. It's going to save you time. When you sit down and write an email blast, how many send out email blasts to customers? We should all be doing that, yeah. Do you sit down and write it yourself and it takes you time and you're putting it together and 3 days later, maybe it's ready to go? With AI, 12 seconds later, you've got something that you just have to prove. And you don't have to check the spelling. The spelling's usually correct, but you have to check the content. But it will even create pictures for you. You can provide it. You can tell it what to do. But it is something we need to embrace. It's going to happen. It's going to happen whether we embrace it or not. So it's something that you want to look at. And there are different ways. Just explore it. You can explore it yourself by just getting on the internet and checking it out. Yeah, chime in on that.
So listen, embracing is a strong word. Adapt. It's going to be there. What are you going to do? And sooner or later, my father was a printer for steel press printing, the hard metal process. Computers came in. And he was like, he didn't want to learn it. Computers will never stick around. Right. We all live on one. Had to be cautious. Those computers, right? Listen, AI is a tool. Utilize it as it, adapt to it. And once again, on the business end of things, I have increased companies' bottom lines because when you go out and recruit people to do these certain jobs, you're paying your tax matching, your insurance. Next thing you know, they're not doing their job. Now you got to do the write-up for HR. It's all this nightmare, right? Well, that can be resolved, unfortunately. It takes some jobs away, yes, but it also forms new jobs for people who know how to use it. So it's about adapting. If you don't adapt, you won't survive. That's just the end of the story. That's just how the world works. Ask the dinosaurs, they'll tell you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know you were here for the first day. I'm a horse and buggy.
I was absolutely here for the
Gotcha. So don't be afraid of it. And listen, if you're this age and up and you're afraid to use it, that's okay. You don't need to know the how, but you need to find the who that knows the how. That's all you really need. If you find the who that knows the how, and you trust that person, now you're focusing on what we call mission critical process, which is your business, what you do for a living. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And as you know, we've got a couple of young people that work in our store with us that actually help guide us through some of those things that we need to do. Antonio, what do you see as growth potential in the piano industry, whether it's acoustic or digital? In the next 4 to 5 years, what do you see coming down the pipe that we should be aware of and be prepared for it to adapt to?
Yeah, I think that the future is anything. The future is different, and so than what we have now, no matter what that looks like or what that will be. So I think that the future is very bright for the piano industry because for the purists, we have that. We have the height of piano craft, and there are many piano manufacturers upstairs that exhibit that. Some of the best of piano makers in the world are upstairs. I'm sure all of you have been to all of their booths. And then as well, we have all the digital piano manufacturers. Digital pianos, I think, are quite compelling for the future of the piano industry because they can adapt. And like I mentioned, if the future will be anything, it will be different. It'll either be more connectivity, more interactivity, more availability for the piano teacher to be global with their students. More piano teachers, especially since COVID, which you had mentioned earlier, what that did was that was really an accelerant to what was to come. No matter what, we would have arrived at this place. COVID probably accelerated that. Having come from the music education space with Alfred Music Publishing, we for years, we were trying to innovate sheet music and did with play-along CDs. First, students years ago played with a metronome, and that was kind of the classic thing, piano and metronome. In time, many of the piano methods started to include beautiful accompaniment tracks and arranger keyboards and things that what I sort of call the beautiful metronome. It was basically a metronome, but sounded like an orchestra. The student could really enjoy that, or a band. The pianos of today, both acoustic, you see Steinway coming out with Stereo, you see, of course, Yamaha's been innovating in that area for a long time. Casio's making a lot of innovations. It is more interactive, it has more development, it is more gamified, because that is where the kid of today is at. So I think the longer, as we used to say back when I was at Roland, the longer that we can keep the seat of their pants on the seat of the bench is the better for our industry. The longer that we can keep a child at the piano or keep somebody at the piano. How can you do that? Through accompaniment, through interactivity, through collaboration. And digitals and acoustics both offer that. So I think that as long as we are not afraid of, as long as we take inspiration from our friends in the guitar industry, we have no problem with electric and acoustic instruments. The future can be very bright for our piano industry, and AI can be a part of that, also with acoustics. I mean, there's one thing where, I know the Steinway Stereo has you can get long touch, and it's playing all to come through that. Well, imagine if that were even more interactive with AI, and you can actually interact with the artist. Maybe the artist can coach you on the way he played something on his album, simply through interactivity through AI. So I see it as being a real boon and a great tool for education, but also for retail, for our websites, to always be able to answer customer questions, even when we are not available to do that. So I think the next 5 years for the piano industry will be very exciting as long as we have the courage to face it and adapt right along with it. But our industry has been around for well over 300 years. And that, I think, is proof of concept that the piano is here to stay. In what form? Digital, acoustic, interactive, AI? Sure, that'll all be a part of it. But our industry will be there with us. That's my opinion.
I don't see the piano going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, it's like saying if the car's going away.
It's not going
To the future, they have the cars fly.
Exactly. I just think it's going to level up. Digital is sounding really good as it should. You know that your customer base is probably ordering it more in that realm, right? So don't be afraid of the piano going away. It's just about where it needs to go. I hear education, and these teachers need to utilize it. How many people in here donate a piano to a school? Yeah. Okay. How many people here donate pianos to the VFW? Right. Never thought of that? So listen, for a business end of it, great write-off. Also helping other people in piano lessons for veterans. Music is calming. We have a show called Roger That Chronicles. I help for veterans to help other veterans, and we put in for several different organizations that help veterans get jobs, be able to come back into the States, and get them some mental support as well. And 9 times out of 10, music is their go-to, right? So think inside that box, right? And once again, put your QR code on there. Utilize your website as a funnel, right? For people to get back to you on it. Because if it says, hey, lease this piano, or this has been donated by, you give one away, you help 10 people, you get 20. Somebody once told me, stop helping people, just bring in the numbers. I brought in 196 members in a year. If I help 10, I get 20. And don't be afraid to know that there's money attached to help, because you need to eat and win too. It's okay. But go out there and see what nonprofit organizations that can utilize yours for educational processes as well. Now you're putting in a win, getting a win, and receiving a win, all at the same time.
all great advice. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've got just a couple minutes time for maybe a couple of quick questions. Jason will come out there with the mic. 1 minute. One question. We have one question.
So I'm a piano player, not a dealer or a manufacturer, but I view the piano as the acoustic thing, and I view everything else as keyboards. And I like your reference to it. You're making an homage to the great acoustic piano, the acoustic pianos that exist. I have a couple of kind of smart parts in the question. One is whether or not there's a correlation between the degree to which someone who learns on an acoustic piano, the continuation of the interest in music because of that experience that they have with the acoustic piano, versus if they learn on a digital piano, does it tail off because it's somehow less acoustically satisfying? And then the second part of it is whether or not if we have a emotional attachment to a great acoustic piano, there are a lot of things that were great that have died in the past. I think about email. Email is now just sort of trivial exchanges of communication, where back in the day when you'd write a personal letter to somebody, you took your time, you thought about it, you expressed a lot of things. You got a letter in response. I have lots of letters of people that I wrote to in college back and forth. So is it in vain that we're trying to kind of continue a legacy of an appreciation for this great acoustic instrument, and it's bound to go the way of the longhand prose letter in exchange for kind of a digital sort of keyboard experience with all MIDI interface and things like that? Or are we tilting at windmills, or is there going to be, in your view, a long road ahead and a fruitful road ahead for the great acoustic pianos that are still being manufactured?
Okay, we're going to give you a full answer afterwards, but one who can do a very quick 10-second answer to that, so we can wrap up. There we go, Tony.
I can. I think that the acoustic piano, in all of its artistry and craft, will always be the height of acoustic expression for that instrument, always. And I think that there will always be, you see the manufacturers, Faziolis and Shinjiro Kawais, and many wonderful builders who are making that. In the digital realm, what I would say is, I think one of the great things that, well, let me just say what we do at Dexter. So in our digital pianos, ours come with many different brands inside that we meticulously pay honor to. So, for example, in our Romantic brand inside, we went to Chopin's actual facility and we sampled and modeled his actual 1840s era Cayenne. When I think about a young student at their piano, sometimes I'll go to music educator events, and teachers will say, well, I want my student to have an authentic experience with Johann Sebastian Bach. Well, when I look at the action mechanism of an upright piano, which has an action mechanism that its hammers forward this way, and a grand piano, which has a lifting action mechanism. Digital pianos have a lifting mechanism, similar to a grand piano, different from an acoustic. So even though a digital and acoustic, shape-wise, may look the same as each other in an upright form, actually, I could argue that the digital piano had more of an authentic action to the grand than the acoustic upright did. And the same thing with the pedal mechanism too. So in a sense, that's what I was mentioning a little earlier with music appreciation. Where is the student today going to hear Chopin's actual Pleyel or Franz Liszt's Erard? Or where can a student immediately make a tuning change to playing all the different tunings that have appeared throughout history?
Not to interrupt you.
We gotta
wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
If you've got more questions, want more answers, we'll meet you out in the back here shortly. Thank you, everybody. Have a great